I'm gonna give you a simple daily exercise routine that is perfect for anyone with an L4, L5, or L5, S1 disc injury looking for pain relief. I personally wish someone would have taught me this routine and these specific exercises after I was diagnosed with a ruptured L5, S1 disc. Now, if you're new here, my name is William and I teach people just like you how to overcome years and years of chronic low back pain naturally by changing your mindset, improving your movements, and building smarter strength. So if that's you, you've come to the right place. Now, I wanna make sure that you don't hurt yourself doing these exercises and you're picking the right amount of sets and reps to do for your specific situation. So what I've done is create a follow along guide that gives you these specific exercises that we'll be covering today, along with the specific sets and reps that you should be doing, along with any modifications to any of these exercises to fit you even better. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/routine to grab that free guide and make sure that you're executing on the sets and reps correctly, but also knowing how to change the exercises if anything you do today causes any symptoms. fitnessforbackpain.com/routine. Now, the first exercise you're gonna do are pelvic tilts. Now, not just any type of pelvic tilt. We really wanna focus on the lower back area. So what most people think about when they do pelvic tilting and kind of spinal manipulation movements is the cat-cow. Too general, too overarching across the entire spine. What we wanna do is isolate movement to the L4, L5, L5, S1 area. And the way you can do this is simply by using some kind of chair, a bench, or a couch. What you're gonna do is grab your bench or your couch, whatever you have access to, and I want you to put the majority of your weight kind of on your arms while you're leaning your body weight onto that bench. So what you should have hanging off is your lower back. So you're just focusing on the lumbar spine region. From here, what you're gonna do is really try to start oscillating or moving from a forward and back perspective, just the lower back. This takes a little bit of practice. If you're very, very stiff, you're very protective, maybe you're very guarded because of the pain that you're experiencing, or you're having a lot of symptoms at specific end ranges of motion. That's totally fine. What you're trying to do is find a position, both in the end ranges of anterior pelvic tilt, where you're tipping your butt back, and posterior pelvic tilt, where you're tipping your butt under. You're trying to find your specific threshold and hang out there and build resilience over time. Now, you can modify this specific variation of the pelvic tilting a lot of different ways. If this being on your chest and being supported by a bench, a couch, or whatever you have, it just creates too much sensitivity or it's too weird for you, you can do this on all fours, as in being on all fours. You have your hands on the ground, your knees on the ground, and you're just focusing on that lumbar spine. This creates a little bit more difficulty because you're gonna wanna move your whole spine. But again, we don't want to do that. We're trying to isolate it. One simple modification to this exercise, if being on that bench or chair or couch is just too much for you, it's too weird, just get into a sitting position. Sit in a comfortable chair, you're sitting upright, and all you're gonna do is work on tilting your butt back, or anterior pelvic tilting, and tilting your butt under. This is just increasing the amount of movement that we can get in this area without any kind of threat. What you're trying to think about is not building strength. You don't want to contract these muscles super hard. You're just trying to almost go through a simple somatic type of movement where you're able to contract and then relax at the same time. So you're not trying to force anything or build big glutes by doing this. We're simply just trying to wake the area up and increase gentle movement to this area. Now, for the second exercise, since we're already kind of using a bench or a couch, I want you to roll over and get into a supported position while leaning up against whatever apparatus that you're using. So let's just pretend my bench is a couch. I'm gonna roll off, I'm gonna put my hands up onto this bench, and I'm gonna be on my knees with my feet on the ground and my hands up against this couch. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to shift my hips towards the base of this bench. All I'm looking to do is increase the amount of extension in the low back. We're not trying to do crazy amounts. We're not trying to push into that end range and feel a stretch in our abs or feel a lot of compression in the low back with that overarching that people tend to do with the cobra pose. We're not trying to do that. Go super, super gentle, which means you might get on the ground, you might have your hands up on your couch or your bench or whatever you might have, and you can't get a ton of extension because you go too far and you start increasing your symptoms. This is what you want to make sure that you're doing correctly, which is why your sets and reps and modifying this exercise is really important. So to make sure you do that well, go to fitnessforbackpain.com/routine to grab the breakdown of this specific routine that you're following today. So we've got some gentle movement at the pelvis. Now we have a little bit more of a broader type of movement with the gentle extensions, right? Now we're gonna try and build some strength or get some blood flow to the area that we're trying to affect. Now, one great exercise or a way of thinking when it comes to this is working upstream from what you're actually trying to do. So some people in this case will say, okay, well, now I gotta do some back extensions, and they'll get on that back extension machine and crank out a bunch of reps and sets because it feels good to pump that area, but you're causing more pain and damage to an area that is already very, very sensitive. So instead, what we're gonna do is a simple body weight Y upper back exercise. To do this, simply grab a bench. You'll lay your stomach on this bench, have your knees and your feet going back towards you or going back behind you. And I'm going to simply put my arms out in a Y, and I'm going to lift my arms up and create a contraction from the base of my neck all the way down to my glutes. If you feel it in your low back, you feel it down your erectors, into your QL, and sometimes even into your glutes, that means you're doing it right. Again, this is not a big, heavyweight type of exercise. We're just trying to get the contract, relax relationship improved, get blood flow to this area, remove as much fear and protection and guarding as possible, and doing it upstream from the actual injury site is one of the best strategies you can take. Now, this fourth and final exercise is gonna focus on endurance in the posterior chain. We often get pretty confused with the information on the internet because you got one person over here saying that it's okay to flex your spine and you should be able to do Jefferson curls. And then you have the other guys over here with certain methods that say, no, neutral spine only, don't bend your low back, it's not designed, it's fragile. You have to keep it stiff and tight all the time. And you don't know what to do. You don't know where you fit into those two specific strategies. So what I want to encourage you to do is just focus right now on endurance, building endurance in the posterior chain. Oftentimes when you have a lot of low back pain, you're protected, you are guarding the area, you're trying to keep pain away, you're trying to protect yourself from it. And this can create a lot of weakness, a lot of atrophy in the low back because you thinking that you're protecting it is actually making the low back weaker. So instead of doing a bunch of reps and sets on the back extension machine, let's just simply start with endurance. Now, what you're gonna do with this exercise is simply go into a hinge position. So if you have a lot of pain with hinging, then I would encourage you to look at how you're hinging. This is something that I go deep into with my strength and pain relief accelerator students. Inside of there, we are talking about breaking down the hinging. If you have pain with bending, you can't figure it out, nothing you do seems to work, then there are some really strategic steps that you need to be taking to overcome that fear, but also pain before you can actually start this exercise. If that sounds like it's you need more help, you're not sure what you should do, you're in a lot of pain with bending or twisting or even hinging, you can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. We can have a conversation and see if what I do can actually help. Now, for the hinging exercise, what I want you to do is you're gonna focus on loading the hips. Your legs are gonna stay relatively straight. We're not doing a deadlift. We're not bending at the low back. We're simply taking our butt back. We're building tension in the hamstrings and glutes. Our knees are slightly bent and our spine is neutral. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into this hinge position, hold for 3 to 4 seconds, and then you're gonna come out of it and stand upright. Take a few deep breaths, relax all the muscles, and then go back. So what you're gonna be doing is going back and forth through this short stop type of hip hinge activation drill. What you're gonna get is an activation of the glutes and hamstrings from a muscular perspective. You're also gonna get a gentle stretch in this area as well, but you're also building endurance and activating these posterior chain muscles without bending and doing too much movement at the L4, L5 or L5, S1 area. After following the correct number of sets and reps, again, which you can find at the fitnessforbackpain.com/routine free guide that goes with this video. I'm gonna map out the exact reps and sets that you should be doing. If you want to level up this basic hip hinge endurance exercise, you can do what I call golf curls. Now, all all you're really doing with the golf curl exercise is getting into this hinge position, and you're slowly rounding the low back and then going back into that neutral position. This is more of an advanced exercise. So if you have a lot of pain simply going into the hinge position, I would not suggest going into this more advanced feature. Going harder is not going to make the pain go away. You want to go simple and then work up from there. But if you're going to do the advanced because you're ready for the advanced version of this, all you're going to do is get into that hinge position without any kind of weight, hanging your arms down, bring a slight flexion in the low back, just enough, and you're going to bring your upper body back up to that neutral position. What you're essentially doing is you're creating a pumping effect in the posterior chain, specifically in the muscles in the low back. If you go gentle, if you do very small ranges of motion, you will definitely feel these muscles being activated and fatiguing. Once you begin to hit that fatigue, following the right sets and reps, then you can stand up, take a few deep breaths, maybe walk around a little bit, shake off any kind of tension that might have built up, and then go back in for another set if it fits your specific needs. This last exercise is really a make it or break it type of thing. You want to work back up to the point where you can use the low back. You feel confident in the low back. You can build strength and endurance, but you don't want to rush it. Make sure you're following the correct reps and sets and build up from there. The last thing you want to do is push through pain thinking no pain, no gain, or if I can just get to the other side of this rep or other side of this set, maybe the pain will go away. That's just not how it works. Now, after doing this routine, if you're still experiencing a lot of sensitivity, a lot of pain, you can't seem to figure out what is causing the irritation, or maybe the pain goes away while doing it, but always comes back. You feel stuck. You're not sure whether you should get more injections, or maybe start stretching these tight muscles, or maybe you've tried all that and it's not working. You might be a good candidate to have more of a one-on-one approach. These exercises are a starting point, but they're not the gospel when it comes to what you should specifically be doing. So experiment, try them out, be careful. But oftentimes you might feel yourself getting stuck, or you're not sure what you should do. If that is you, feel free to reach out. I work with people one-on-one inside of my Strength and Pain Relief Accelerator program. I'm always working with people who have tried these things on their own. They've tried to figure it out. They've tried to put the pieces together for themselves, but they feel stuck. These are the types of people that we make massive transformational life changes when it comes to how they experience pain and get them back into doing the things that they truly love doing, whether that's being with their kids or surfing or paddle boarding or kayaking, whatever it is that you want to do. It's just a matter of finding out the specific steps that you should be taking. If you want to find out more whether or not I can help you, you can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. That'll give us an opportunity to have a simple conversation for me to actually confirm that I can really help you. Because if I can't, I'm happy to tell you that. But if I can, I'm more than happy to share as much information that you need. Just go to fitnessforbackpain.com/apply. Before you head off, make sure you go grab that free guide that goes perfectly along with today's video and this specific routine here. You can go to fitnessforbackpain.com/routine. Thanks so much for watching, guys. God bless, and I'll see you on the next episode.